I'm going to read this so I make sure I get my wording correct. It has been brought to my attention there's a candidate in this race that has said other candidates, myself included, we're in danger if we kept going along our current campaign line. The person who brought this to my attention did so for 3 primary reasons. Number 1, they were concerned for their safety. Number 2, they were concerned for my safety. And number 3, in accordance with the fair campaign practices, they felt compelled to inform all implicated candidates about that implication. I would like to offer the candidates that made these implied threats and negative comments an opportunity to identify themselves at this time.
Before you go on, I have to say something. I signed the Fair Campaign Act. The Fair Campaign Act practice states that I, myself, as a candidate, will not do anything underhanded, intimidate, or change the voter. It is a voluntarily signed. In other words, like if Miss Fleming ran, she doesn't have to sign it. I signed it because I'm an honest, truthful person. And I spent a lot of money on my campaign. But I will not be threatened or be told that if I proceed on posting certain things on my page, that I could be harmed by certain people named. Big names like Gaza, Nichols, which are both DAs, and so forth. I came out with this only because it went from just me being threatened. It was another candidate being threatened. And I'm sorry, Miss Bracey, you're a good woman, and I know you're not going to stand up. No. But I had everything recorded.
Can I say
Have a good day.
I'm going to tell you what happened. I'm sorry. Listen.
Be quiet and everything. What would happen if
she recorded my voice?
I can't hear anything. I can't hear anybody's talking.
And I anticipated that this would be kind of a stressful moment. I will repeat.
Please just start it
I'm
again.
sorry, I forgot to ask. The most important thing is
I'm going to call my attorney.
if I tell Melissa to be quiet and everything, what would happen if she told other people that I wanted her to be quiet?
She's not going to do that.
And I said it was good.
No, she's not going to do that. No.
You don't need to record me. You told me some things about you that I can do that against you.
Is that another threat, Miss Bracey?
Stop here. So I anticipated that would be the case. I do have other recordings.
Please.
I'm not going to play them right at this time because that will detract from the overall point of what I'm getting to.
Nobody did it. No, I'm going to call my attorney because you did not get my permission to record that.
I'm sorry. Only one person in the state of Texas has to give permission.
Excuse me, both of you. I will not have another word about it. Another word wants to say. Attorney, then you should probably not say another word.
You're going to threaten me again with Mr. Gaza? I don't care. I have enough of it recorded. You don't scare me anymore, Miss Bracey. I'm not afraid of you.
Who's supposed to be afraid of me?
I'm sorry, but you will probably. So.
Don't do that.
Okay, I'm sorry. I spent a lot of time and a lot of hours not sleeping, considering how this should be handled. There are a lot of people who have been implicated. There are a lot of people whose professional and personal lives have been brought into this, and it's unfair and it's not just. Before I did this, I made my best attempts to reach out to each and every individual who is implicated, that I know that I can reach, and let them know, at least here on a local level. It has been reported to Chief Kimball. I have turned in all of the recordings to Chief Kimball. They have been reported to the DA. They have been reported to the DOJ. So it is not something that I just decided, you know what, without just cause, I'm going to spring this out on people. It is not something I said I am going to just spread rumors without any evidence. I did anticipate that if she were here, I wanted to give her the opportunity to have the ability to save enough of her personal dignity to be able to stand up and acknowledge that it was her in a non-confrontational manner. But as soon as it becomes confrontational, I'm not going to have confrontation here.
I'm sorry.
And I understand that there are, it is very personal for some people. I will be making all of the audio recordings public after this meeting. So if anybody wants to hear them, you will be able to. I'm not going to spread rumors or try to defame anybody or slander anybody just for the sake of trying to slander people. I don't believe in that, but I also feel that this whisper and this hush and this, you know, I'm going to win by talking bad about other people has to stop. And the only way that it stops is if somebody finally stands up and says this is wrong. So in order for that to happen, yeah, she's still counting people in there. But what I'm not going to do is acknowledge her any further.
And I want to apologize to everyone in here. My ethical values, I had to bring it to light because every voter needed to know what was going on so that they could vote for who they really believed in.
So, anyways, to get back on topic, I promise that's the peak of the outburst drama. Crime. I want to just take a minute and interject the fact that when it comes to crime in the area, one of my keys has always been that if we want to reduce crime, we have to get people to cooperate with the police. So when something happens, we need people to stand up and speak out and cooperate and make sure that they are sharing information, that they're not keeping things secret, because then we can't solve anything, then nothing moves forward. Which is another reason why I chose to do this publicly and do this today, because I won't be silenced based on threats, because I will not allow somebody to do something wrong and me to sit by idly and just continue to let it happen over and over and over again. I choose to lead by example. I'm going to be continuing my campaign as planned. So, with that said, strategic growth. I don't think anybody can deny that we are currently outpacing our infrastructure and our infrastructure abilities. We are growing quickly to the south. If you talk to anybody, that's what they keep telling you. Oh, well, we don't need to worry about that because we're growing so fast to the south. Well, we're growing so fast to the south, we don't have the money to take care of the infrastructure to build out to the south and keep up with the infrastructure on the north side and the east side. Forget about anything in the middle. Okay, so before we can build anything new, we need to take care of what we have. I like to use this analogy. I know some of you are young to have teenage kids, and some of you might have teenage kids, some of you might have older than teenage kids. My son is 13, so I know that in a couple years here, he's going to start driving. Now, he will not get a nice new shiny car. He won't. But if you have a teenager and you get them a nice new shiny car, right? They take it and they drive it, and you tell them, listen, getting you this car, but you're going to be responsible for maintaining it. And they take it, they drive it around, and they don't get the oil changed, and they don't keep the coolant levels filled, and they park it where they get all dinged up, and they get it in a couple of little fender benders, and they come to you and they say, Mom, Dad, I blew up the engine and the radiator failed and it overheated and I don't know why, but now look at it, it's all dented and it looks like a pile of, so you park it in front of the driveway and you go buy them another brand new car, right? So you go get them this other brand new car and they do the exact same thing with it. They run it out of gas, they run it out of oil, they run it out of cooling, out of water, and they get it all dinged up, and they come to you and they say, Mom, Dad, I don't understand. This looks like crap, and I don't want to drive it anymore, and it doesn't run right. And you park it in front of the other one. And you continue that cycle, and the next thing you know, you've got here this beat-up, run-down car. And you got your driveway, and all the way down the road, you've got this line of beat-up, run-down cars. And you just keep buying your kid a brand new car to drive around. Well, that's what we're doing with our roads and our infrastructure. We are letting our nice new roads and our nice new lines turn into these old, beat-up, run-down cars. And we're buying brand new roads, brand new shiny cars for these new development where we're growing out to the south. But we're not holding anybody accountable. We're not taking care of the people who've already been here. So before we grow anymore, we need to make sure we have the money and we apply it appropriately to take care of the infrastructure that we already have. I also feel that if our developers are going to be the ones responsible primarily for all of this new growth, they should be primarily responsible for the infrastructure for a significant amount of time. I think at a minimum, we should have a contract that says, okay, if you're going to build this neighborhood, then for at a minimum of 10 years, you are also responsible for the infrastructure in there. So if there are potholes, if the road needs to be oversized, if there are any issues during that 10 years, infrastructure-wise, you as the developer are responsible for it. You are the one that is primarily profiting from this. Hold up your end of the bargain. And we'll see how much they really want to build these nice new houses, right? I found this little sign, I love it. Speaking of developers and infrastructure, this is one of the topics that I was warned about. It is dangerous to talk about the mud. I don't know who they are, but they apparently are right. Only in the sense that the mud is dangerous for the future of our city. So this is the part where I humble myself. So now I've stood up here in front of everybody, and I've shown you that I can be tough and I can put on this, this war face when I need to. And trust me, that's only when I need to. If you ask my husband, I'm a teddy bear. But I also think that a leader is humble and a leader admits when they're wrong. So this is my first time that I'm going to do a public apology. I hope I don't have to do this very often. But legal and technical terms are important. So when I had my first town hall regarding the mud, if anybody was there, Mr. Corbin jumped up and he yelled a lot. And he said, I never signed the contract for the mud. Never signed the contract. And by golly, the man is right, and I owe him an apology, because Mr. Corbin did not sign a contract for the mud. There are two parts to this agreement. This first part, way up here at the top, is an ordinance, okay? We changed a lot of the city's rules and regulations in order to allow the mud to be put in our ETJ. Instead of going through the code of ordinance and changing each one of them individually, we created one brand new ordinance for it. What I had looked at was this signature line right here, and it says, approved, Daniel A. Corbin, Mayor. Okay? And I admit that I made a mistake. Daniel A. Corbin, Mayor, did sign part of this agreement, but what he signed is the ordinance. He did not sign the contract. Okay? So, good leader admits when he or she is wrong. I am admitting that I was wrong about him signing the contract. What I did, though, is I had heard that there was another version of the contract. So I went back and I asked our city secretary, could you please send me the most updated version of the mud contracts that the city has on file? And she said, most definitely, I will do that. So I went through it, and everything is pretty much the same. And so you get down here, and I'm scanning through this really fast, and this is, believe it or not, this is the exact same one that I have posted on my Facebook page already that we have discussed before. This is the area where we would get down to signatures. This is the actual contract itself. So when you get down to page 17, this is where we sign the contracts.